It was a night when there was not a single star in the sky, and a dark fog covered the forest. Locals have long known that this gloomy forest is the home of evil and bloodthirsty vampires. They mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Their bodies were never found. There were rumors that there was a secret nest of vampires in the forest, where they drink the blood of their victims and get them drunk with alcohol in order to immobilize and drag them into their underground shelters. One day, a young couple, Sophia and Max, had to walk through this forest to return home after celebrating their wedding. The night was cold and eerie when suddenly they heard a rustle in the bushes. Before they could react, two shadow shapes appeared in front of them and attacked them. Vampires. They were fast and strong, and Sophia and Max couldn't resist. The vampires gave them alcohol to weaken their resistance. Then they dragged them to an unknown place in the forest, and everything turned black around. Sophia woke up in an underground nest with her husband. They found that they were surrounded by vampires who were preparing to drink their blood. Sophia and Max dared to open their eyes a little to assess the situation in which they found themselves. As their eyes adjusted to the darkness, they made out the surrounding walls of damp earth and stone. The vampires were armed to the teeth and seemed ready for any inhumane action. Sophia felt a terrible tremor running through her whole body, but she raised her head, gaining determination to force herself to fight for her life and Max's life. The vampires prepared to begin their creepy ceremony of drinking human blood. They came close to Sophia and Max, who were being held hostage, and began whispering in a strange language. At that moment, the tension in the room reached its limit, and suddenly something unexpected happened. Sophia and Max joined forces and began to fight the vampires. Their terrible night turned into a real battle for survival. Their strength was leaving them quickly, but they managed to hit several vampires and climb through the passage into the next room. They rushed to run through the dark corridors of the vampire lair, trying to find a way out of this nightmare. They heard a noise behind them and decided to make a stop. They found a huge door with a dim light. A sharp creak of the door made them freeze in place, but instead of vampires, a strange man in medieval-style clothes appeared from the door. "You are in danger," the stranger screamed. "This is a vampire conspiracy, and you have to hurry up to get out of here while there's still time." Under the intense gaze of the stranger, Sophia and Max listened to his words and decided to follow him. They could only entrust their fate to a stranger who inspired confidence and confidence. They hurried after him through the forgotten corridors and stairs, not even looking back, afraid that the vampires would find them again. The stranger led them to a door leading outside. They struggled to get out, and finally the door swung open, illuminating their eyes with the light of the moon. Sophia and Max were free, but they still had to find out the whole truth about the forest lair of vampires and the secret behind this terrible conversation. The stranger led them through a dark forest. They heard ominous rustles and watched shadows flicker in the depths of the forest. The stranger turned at every rustle, every sigh, as if expecting something terrible. He carried a serene calmness, but his eyes radiated anxiety and determination at the same time. Finally, they reached a safe hiding place in the depths of the forest. The stranger, who turned out to be a monk, told them a mysterious story about stolen relics that the vampires used for rituals and spells to strengthen their power over the forest and its inhabitants. However, they haven't gotten rid of the threat yet. The vampires will be looking for them to reclaim their prisoners and relics. Only the blessing and protection of the monk could help them escape from danger and defeat the evil creatures. Sophia and Max decide to stay safe under the cover of a monk in order to figure out how they can destroy the power of vampires and get rid of the threat. to all the inhabitants of the forest forever. Sophia and Max remained safe under the protection of the monk, immersed in thoughts about how to defeat the evil vampires who threatened them and all the other inhabitants of the forest. The monk told them about the legendary relic, which, according to legend, possessed a sacred power capable of defeating vampires and clearing the forest of their presence. However, to find this relic, they had to embark on a dangerous journey through the labyrinth of a mysterious forest guarded by dark forces. The monk offered them help and guidance, knowing that this ancient artifact could change the course of events and reverse the course of their fate. Sophia and Max learned that the journey will be fraught with many trials and dangers, and they will have to overcome their fears and doubts in order to reach their destination. They decided to take a chance and go to this mystical forest, determined to defeat evil and return peace to the inhabitants of this place, armed with courage and determination. Sophia and Max began their journey under the guidance of a monk. They headed into the dark depths of the forest, seeking to uncover the secrets that would help them defeat the vampires. They saw an exciting and deadly opera filled with magic, intrigue, and ancient riddles. Trials, sinister creatures, and mystical traps stood in their way, testing each of their steps and decisions. They felt how the mysterious forces of the forest resisted them, and understood that this path would not be easy. However, they could also have other supports. They heard noises, saw footprints, which strengthened their confidence that they were not alone on this journey and that their efforts were not in vain. Sophia and Max understood that in order to win, they needed not only to find the relic, but also to protect it from the vampires, who undoubtedly watched them at every turn. They were ready to go all the way to restore peace and tranquility to the inhabitants of the forest, believing that they had the strength and determination to finish the job they had started. Their patience and determination have been severely tested, and only time will reveal whether they will wait for victory in this deadly battle with darkness, or become its victims. After passing through the tangled wilds of the mystical forest under the guidance of a monk, Sophia and Max found themselves at the foot of an old abandoned temple. The ancient walls radiated mystical energy, and the air was saturated with the smell of old magic. It was a place where, according to legends, a relic was kept that could defeat the evil vampires and restore peace to the forest. The gates of the temple were locked, however, blessed by the monk. Sophia and Max felt that they had the gift of the key to this powerful place. They watched the architecture of the temple intently, their hearts beating in anticipation of what awaited them soon. However, they knew that they would have to face the dark forces guarding the temple and its secrets. Impulsively, Sophia and Max decided to open the gate, despite the monk's secret warnings. They found themselves inside the temple, encountering its ancient artifacts and symbols. They headed to the very center of the temple, where, according to legend, there was supposed to be a relic, the key to defeating the vampires and all the dark forces that possessed the forest. But they soon realized that they were not alone inside the temple. The dark forces that favored secrecy have finally manifested themselves. The evil vampires surrounded them, making growls and ferocious screams. They realized that this ancient temple was the last barrier between them and a relic that could change the course of their fate. Sophia and Max grabbed their weapons and resisted the attackers with all their might. Through the thick shadows and magical attacks of vampires, they tried to get to the relic, hoping for its powerful properties. But they had an uphill battle ahead of them, and only time will tell whether they will become winners or die in this deadly confrontation. There are so many mysteries hidden in this temple, and only history can reveal the secrets of its ancient magic and relics, which will become a decisive factor in the fight against darkness. Sophia and Max were fighting a desperate battle with vampires inside an ancient temple. They fought like lions, overcoming their fears and exhausting all their strength. But the numerical superiority of the vampires turned out to be inescapable, and as a result, Sophia and Max were surrounded and swallowed up by darkness. The monk, who was waiting for them outside the temple, realized that good had not defeated evil in this sinister place. He mourned the loss of the young people whose fate he was so worried about. All plans and hopes for saving the forest collapsed at the moment when Sophia and Max became victims of vampires. The evil vampires celebrated their victory and strengthened their power over the forest, preventing any hope of peace and security. Soon all hopes of saving this mystical place died, and its inhabitants became prisoners of darkness. Thus, the story was left without a happy ending, and many questions and mysteries remained unanswered. Many years later, the legend that Sophia and Max fell in battle with the dark forces lived in the hearts and souls of the people who lived in that forest. The memories of the courage and bravery of these heroes will live forever. But darkness and evil have engulfed everything around, turning the world into eternal night.